Well, folks, the House passed this resolution praising the life and legacy of white supremacist Charlie Kirk. He was gunned down speaking at a university in Utah. It got 310 votes, but a lot of people are saying what the hell was going on, because you had 58 Democrats voted no, but you had 38 that actually refused to vote as well. You see the vote totals right there. And so, again, you had 95 Democrats vote yes. Among them, Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. In addition to Jeffries, you had three other CBC members who voted for the particular resolution. This, of course, as folks asking some serious questions. Why in the hell would Democrats actually do this? Did it make any sense whatsoever? Now, Gregory Meeks voted for this. Don Davis. Now, he's in a +3 red district, but it doesn't matter. How about having some conscience? How about having some integrity when it comes to voting here? This, to me, is beyond shameful. It is utterly ridiculous because, again, you can vote against. And also David Scott. And I call out Meeks and Scott, both my frat brothers. Hakeem Jeffries, he's a Kappa. I'm going to call him out. It's different if the resolution dealt with the issue of political violence. But Republicans are treating Charlie Kirk like he was a martyr. And you can't overlook the stuff that Charlie Kirk actually said, especially about black people.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the Democrats pretending as if they are the real victims in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Even on the day of his funeral, the day that he will be laid to rest, these people are still pretending as if, no. Again, it's not conservative activists or Charlie Kirk's family or Republicans who have routinely been the victims, the targets of political violence in this country from far left lunatics, okay? We're seeing this all over the place. No. It's not them. They're not the victims. No. So-called Democrats of color, black Democrats like Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar, they're the real victims, okay? Not because of, they've been subject to assassinations or anything like that, like, Charlie Kirk and, conservative activists and, conservative Supreme Court justices and conservative members of Congress. No. It's because of mean words, right? Mean words are being said to them because they're coming out here and basically disrespecting the legacy of Charlie Kirk, smearing him with defamatory statements, okay, and lies about what he said and what he stood for. No, they're the real victims.
So I guess we'll begin with your reaction to the language we just heard from the president there, but also I want to ask how you are doing. You've been attacked by the president, by a colleague whose office is right next door to yours, Congresswoman Nancy Mace. I know that you have received messages and voicemails from people threatening you. How are you holding up first?
I've been here before. I've been the target of the president in the most vile, bigoted, racist ways that you could imagine. And I've had to have full police detail because of that. So it is surprising that he's back at it because I thought he's moved on and found a new person to harass. But here's, a president that is always unhinged, always strange, always creating chaos and division. And he seems to have a real obsession with anyone that is an immigrant in this country that is not of European descent.
All right, y'all, quick break from the show because this is important. Look, we talk a lot here about standing up for yourself, not letting big corporations, the government, or anybody else push you around. But what happens when real life hits, car accidents, workplace injuries, medical mistakes, and suddenly you're the little guy going up against a massive insurance company? Well, that's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. There's a reason reporters never run out of breaking news. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They've recovered over $25 billion for 500,000 clients with more than 1,000 lawyers nationwide, and they're built on one simple idea. For the people. That means when you're hurt, you don't pay them a dime up front. They only get paid if you win. And trust me, these big companies have teams of big lawyers working against you. You need somebody just as powerful fighting for you. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. If you're injured because of somebody else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. So if you've been hurt in an accident, at work, or anywhere in between, don't roll the dice alone. You can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Because at the end of the day, protecting yourself and your family isn't just common sense. It's conservative values in action. Yeah. So that's why it is really, really, really hard for me to come out here and to disagree when the president says that some of these networks should be taken off air, because it's true. And I think BS Now is one of those networks that should be taken off air, because that is not news. That is just straight up propaganda, right? I mean, again, imagine a conservative civil rights icon was just assassinated, and MSNBC didn't bring on any Republicans and ask them, hey, how you doing? How you holding up, right? We've had political violence against Republicans. The president was almost assassinated. Supreme Court justice, there was an assassination attempt against him. There were shootings. There were actual Republican congressmen that were shot. Okay. Yeah, how are you feeling, right? How are you holding up right now? Okay, considering that you have probably at least 20% of the country outright celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? How do you feel about that, right? Are you holding up well? No. Again, they're pretending that the real victim is Ilhan Omar, who has not been subject to an assassination or even an assassination attempt, as far as we know. And she's only been subject to mean words, right? Mean words. And somehow, some way, MSDNC is pretending as if she's the victim. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So with that being said, we got to check in on the Communist News Network, CNN. They are interviewing Jasmine Crockett, and they're going to confront Jasmine Crockett with some clips of her and her inflammatory rhetoric. And Jasmine Crockett is going to pretend as if, again, she's not the problem at all, right? That, no, all of the bad rhetoric in this country only comes from the right, okay? It's only the right. It's not the left. The things I say are totally fine, totally okay, and they have nothing to do with the political violence happening in this country. It's just everybody else, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
About political opposition. Well, on that note, I do want to turn to something that you heard the senator just say, which is he was talking about a resolution that came before the House this past week honoring Charlie Kirk. And there were 58 Democrats who voted against it. You were one.
Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely. You know what? One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that a month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement, yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff, especially as a civil rights attorney, and understanding how I got to Congress, knowing that there were people that died, people that were willing to die, that worked to make sure that voices like mine could exist in this place. So to me, just like we wanted to make sure that those Confederate relics were taken down, the idea of a new age relic being propped up was something that I just could not subscribe to. And it is unfortunate that more of my colleagues, even on my side of the aisle, could not see the amount of harm that this man was attempting to inflict upon our communities.
Wow. Again, the crazy part about this is that Jasmine Crockett admitted on the Breakfast Club that she really hadn't heard much of Charlie Kirk or anything that he has said about her specifically outside of her, I guess, friends or people telling her what he has said about her, right? So I'm pretty sure that Jasmine Crockett actually has never sat down and listened to Charlie Kirk, but yet she claims that Congress should not honor him in his life. But again, she doesn't really actually know what he said, right? I guarantee you, if this CNN anchor asked Jasmine Crockett, what specifically did that Charlie Kirk say that you think is so vile and so hateful that his life does not deserve to be honored, right? Please inform me exactly what he said. Give me an actual real quote, okay? Not a made up quote, right? A real quote. I bet she couldn't do it. Because she doesn't know. She's just repeating what she thinks she's supposed to say. She's trying to appeal to a certain crowd without knowing what the hell she's talking about. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Because she knew what she was talking about, she wouldn't be going on national television pretending like Charlie Kirk was a Klansman, right? Which, by the way, Joe Biden, who she supports, actually did honor a Klansman, gave a eulogy for a Klansman, right? But again, they don't really have too many issues with that. But I'm just saying that my point is this. Lord forbid anything happen to Jasmine Crockett, right? I don't want anything to happen to Jasmine Crockett. But if something was to happen to Jasmine Crockett, you can literally use the exact same argument that they're using against Charlie Kirk to then turn around and say, no, we shouldn't honor Jasmine Crockett. She was anti-white. She was a black supremacist, right? She put out rhetoric, vile rhetoric, about white people that does not deserve to be honored, that divided this country, that was hateful and bigoted. And therefore, she does not deserve any honor whatsoever. Okay? We should not pretend as if she was a good person, that she was on the good side or the right side of history, right? We should not pretend like that. Again, I can make the same exact argument if something were to happen to Jasmine Crockett, which I hope nothing happens, right? I want the political violence to stop in this country, which clearly is something that Democrats don't want. But if something was to happen, I wouldn't come out here and openly celebrate it and cheer it. Okay, I'd probably come out here and say thoughts and prayers and then move on, right? Now, what I do in my personal life is between me and God, right? But I'm just saying that I wouldn't come out here and publicly cheer it. But they are setting the precedent if something was to happen that we could come out here and just to smear Jasmine Crockett as a person and say, no, let's not pretend that she was a good person, right? Let's not pretend that she was on the right side of history here, okay? Let's be real. She was a black supremacist, okay? She was a racist, okay? Which will all be pretty accurate terms, to be honest with you, especially if they're saying that applied to Charlie Kirk. Then if that applies to Charlie Kirk, again, black supremacist has to apply to Jasmine Crockett, right? Because I've never heard Charlie Kirk say the vile things that Jasmine Crockett had said on national television. I never heard it, right? You compare the rhetoric of Charlie Kirk versus Jasmine Crockett, there is no competition in regards to who spewed more hateful rhetoric, right? I think clearly Jasmine Crockett would win that competition.
So meanwhile, you obviously feel very strongly about the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk used that you find objectionable, and also from others in the MAGA movement. As the memorial service for him is going to happen later today, there is a debate over heated rhetoric on all sides. And
listen, whether it's heated or not, the fact is Charlie Kirk should still be here. It should not have been that there was political violence that resulted because of the words that were coming out of his mouth, just like plenty of MAGA hates when I mention white supremacy, which kind of tells you where MAGA stands. But nevertheless, they get very upset when I talk about white supremacy. But that doesn't mean that somebody should then try to find a bullet or try to find a knife and harm me. Not in America. That's not who we are supposed to be.
Well, let me ask.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, Jasmine Crockett. Again, you're setting the precedent that if something were to happen to you, that we could come out and smear you, that we could celebrate it, right? That we can openly be happy about it. And that, no, you don't deserve any honor, right? We should go out our way to vote against honoring you and your life and what you stood for. That's the precedent that you're setting. And see, that's what these idiots don't realize. This is what they don't understand. When they go out here, they do this type of stuff. They say this type of stuff. Again, all the stuff they're saying is based off lies. Jasmine Crockett has no clue what Charlie Kirk actually said. She doesn't know, right? She already admitted she don't listen to him like that. So again, how do you feel so passionately about something that you have not heard, that you have not listened to? It doesn't make sense.
Ask you, because I do want to play a couple of statements that you made earlier this year.
Okay. Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. They want to show that they are loyal to this, I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
And to be clear, the president has attacked, other people have attacked you in his orbit, maybe not him personally. But do you have a responsibility as an elected official not to raise the temperature, but rather lower the temperature, particularly when there are people out there who listen to elected officials all over the place who are not well, who use that as a way to instigate the political violence that you are calling out.
Yeah, not well. People who are not, aka liberals, people who self-reportedly have mental health issues. And it seems clear and obvious that Democrat Party rhetoric is worse than anything that a Republican can say, because Republican supporters or conservatives don't have the same mental health issues as liberals and Democrats. Therefore, you don't see conservatives and Republicans acting on rhetoric as much as you see leftists, liberals, and Democrats acting on rhetoric. Because, again, they have self-reportedly more mental health issues, right, within their own party, within their own side of the aisle. And again, that's a real conversation that we have to have in this country, that the political rhetoric is not the same, right? It's not the same when Republicans come out here and say stuff as when Democrats say stuff, because Democrat supporters can't handle it, right? They can't handle political rhetoric. Clearly, they can't handle it. So again, Democrats have to be more responsible in their rhetoric than Republicans, because Democrat Party supporters clearly can't handle the rhetoric without committing acts of violence.
I think that my responsibility is to be transparent and to be honest. And the reality is that we are living in a time in which this administration and this regime is not interested in making sure that people understand history. We need to understand why they are so problematic. And so I am using that language because it is accurate language when we see the consolidation.
Yeah, it's accurate language to compare the president to Hitler. Really? That's accurate language? How many Jews has President Trump thrown into concentration camps and killed? Right? Zero. So again, this is part of the problem. The media is the problem. They allow these Democrats to go on national television and to get away with saying stuff that Republicans will never get away with, right? Could you imagine playing a clip of a Democrat comparing the president to Hitler and then allowing the Democrat in the next sentence to claim that, well, what I'm saying is accurate, without following up and saying, wait, hold on now. Comparing the president to Hitler is accurate? Do you really think that's an accurate thing to say? Really? But again, Dana Bash is not going to do that. What's the point of playing the clip if you're not going to call this type of stuff out? Again, this is the problem. Democrats are just allowed to say whatever they want, and they're never held accountable by the media in regards to the things they say. And this is why you continue to see it. Because they're never held accountable. They never have the finger pointed at them. These people are afraid. They're afraid to come out and say that the shooter was a leftist. They're afraid to say it. But they have no problems whatsoever if they have reasons to believe that a shooter is far right. They have no issues telling you, oh, he's far right. But let the shooter be far left. They want to tiptoe around it, right? Again, this is the problem, right? Interviews like this is the problem. Dana Bash is the problem. She's the problem because she can't let Jasmine Crockett sit up here and pretend like what she's saying is actually accurate. That's ridiculous.
Of power, when we see them trying to chill speech of jokesters, when we're seeing all of this, that is a playbook out of Hitler, and I won't deny it. Like, these are the facts. But
amazing, because all this stuff happened during the Biden administration. You had the Biden administration pushing to have people fired from their jobs over not taking a vaccine, an experimental vaccine. That ain't fascism, right? You had the federal government, the FBI, going to the offices of Twitter, Facebook, these social media platforms to censor conservatives. Oh, well, that's not fascism or Hitler-esque, right? They banned the former president off of all of social media. Didn't have any problems with that. Totally fine, totally okay. But a comedian who's not banned on any social media platform, right? A comedian is temporarily canceled for telling a lie on national television. All of a sudden, oh, that's like Hitler. Again, this is nonsense. And what makes it worse is the fact that this CNN anchor is sitting here and letting her do this and say this stuff with zero pushback. It's insanity.
One of the things that I've never done that the president has done consistently is called specifically for violence. He has said, oh, beat that one up. He has said those types of things. We know that Charlie Kirk was saying things about who should live and who should die.
Again, another lie. Jasmine Crockett, I never said anything like that, except you have.
Me disagreeing with you, me calling you, I want to be Hitler, all those things are like not necessarily saying go out and hurt somebody. But when you're literally telling people at rallies, yeah, beat them up and that kind of stuff, like you are promoting like a culture of violence.
And I'm sorry, but instead, we are not only going to punch you back, but we are going to knock you out.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. It's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard.
But this is a war. This isn't a battle. And we absolutely will win this war.
It is a war. It is indeed a war. And I have to say, they have won some battles, Jasmine, but we have to keep our eye on the war, and everybody needs to pick up a weapon and get involved, because this is for the safety and lasting of the country.
Yeah. So again, according to her, she's never said anything like that, right? Never said anything like that at all. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
They've never said those kinds of things. And I think that those things are the ones that are really, really dangerous. And even still, some of that will still be protected. We know that we still have laws that are on the book that certain speech is not protected, that it does cross over when you are inciting violence, such as what we saw on January 6th. When you are doing what we consider to be a terroristic threat of some sort, where it's a matter of, I'm not just saying it, but I have the apparent ability to carry that out. But me laying out historical facts, just like they don't want to talk about the fact that slavery was real in this country and that my people were enslaved and dragged and raped and abused, and they don't want to account for any of that. They don't believe in reparations. No, I think it is okay for me to understand history and communicate in a very clear way about why we should feel as if there is a concern. And when we swear an oath, which is what that first clip was, we swear an oath to the Constitution to protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so if there is someone that is evidencing themselves, such as the president, who is going out and says, yes, I will take a $400 million plane from a foreign government, or is engaged in receiving crypto that we cannot track in exchange for, say, giving away chips to Saudi Arabia. No, we absolutely need to understand how these things could cause us harm. Or when he's cozying up to somebody like Vladimir Putin, it's not only a problem for us, but it's a problem for our allies. When you have somebody like Poland that is like, yeah, this is what Russia's up to, and the president is like, oh, that may have just been a mistake. We need to understand what all his business dealings are, even with Russia, because that has the potential of putting us in harm's way.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you.
And that's the fucking problem. Right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Dana Bash just allowed Jasmine Crockett to just spew a whole bunch of lies, right? For a minute straight. A minute straight. No pushback. Zero pushback. Zero. This is a part of the problem. These people go on national television and they pretend as if they're completely innocent, that they have nothing to do with the fact that we continuously see acts of political violence coming from far leftists, repeating the same exact talking points that Jasmine Crockett just repeated on national television. And there's zero pushback. But if you put a Republican in that seat, these people will be pushing back all day long. But you put a Democrat in that seat, they can say whatever they want. And people like Dana Bash, oh, well, yeah, yeah. I guess it is accurate to compare Trump to Hitler and what's happening in this country right now. I guess it is accurate to compare America in 2025 to Nazi Germany. Really? You're gonna let that statement be made on your airways as if it's factual, Dana Bash, without saying, nah, that's actually not true, right? Like that's not true. Let's be real. You're using hyperbolic language, right? What you're saying is just factually not true. But no. She didn't push back against that, right? No journalistic integrity. Just allow Jasmine Crockett to continue her filibuster of lies. And again, this is a part of the problem, right? This is why, I'm not one of these people where I'm like, oh, Trump shouldn't come out here and say that these networks should be taken off air. No. I actually agree, right? I agree, right? Like when you study this stuff, when you pay attention to this stuff every day like I do, you see how, no, this is not in the best interest of the public. This is why we're having these political assassinations, because of interviews like this, because the media does not push back against this stuff and say, no, you cannot compare the president to Hitler. We're not living in Nazi Germany. Stop, right? Stop. It's just not true, right? Like that's just not accurate, because they refuse to do that. Again, this is why I don't have a problem when people suggest that, these networks should be pulled off air, because this type of stuff is out of control. It is leading to people losing their lives, and the victims are conservatives. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.